I'm not sure, but this will be a good.
Okay. Just know that when you come close, like, right there's perfect. Oh!
Whoa!
Right there's perfect. That's a good spot. It's perfect. But as you come up, you're not, you're able to just see your pants.
Right here?
Not right now, but like walk forward. Well, because are you going to be like walking up here?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I guess we can get started. Thank you everyone for actually having this kindness in your heart to actually come to this special teaching event for myself. So number one, I want to say welcome. I'm calm. I'm glad I came. I'm glad I'm a life learner. I'm glad that education is a community journey, and thank you for who you are. Today, I expect to just experience the process of what teaching is, and it has been very critical as far as today, learning the logistics that are involved. So that was very important for me. So I wanted to get started and acknowledging who is here. I have a few guests that have not arrived. That's another issue sometimes when you're putting together a class, that parking and things like that. So I hope that they come. But I want to acknowledge my friend and fellow alum, Deja. She's here today. And Deja, do you want to come up here and just introduce yourself? Okay, you're going to be shy, that's fine. All right, so with that, I'm going to get started. I had planned to do a community circle, and I'm going to do a solo community circle, and that is something that I learned in the Sustainability MBA program. And basically all it is being able to come in and just pause for a moment and come together in a circle as a class as we start. And for me, I'm really grateful that everything went as planned. I'm grateful that I had a great birthday with my daughter Alexis. She won first place in an art contest, and that was really one of my amazing things that I wanted to share that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for good children, and my son and my younger daughter also doing well. So that's what I'm thankful for. A hope and a dream. I hope that today starts the new journey to transforming myself from a student to a future educator. I am committed to intrinsically motivating students and really sharing my journey with them, and hope that they can take that into whatever path they are going to, either at Eureka High or here as a lecturer at HSU. And any joys and concerns or hopes or things that you're grateful for today, Deja? And you can share from there. Like,
Yeah.
or you can come up here. Whatever you're comfortable
Okay.
with.
I can go up there.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for letting me be here. I'm grateful for being here, actually. I'm grateful for being in school and being able to study. I'm entering into my teaching credential program next semester, so I'm grateful that I found a placement where I'm going to be working and helping out students.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, I'm grateful for a lot, so yeah, I'm excited.
Good. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share that you want to get off, so that anything uncomfortable that happened as you came in that you want to let go of, or everything worked out? Thank you for arriving on time.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for showing up for me. I want to acknowledge you and say thank you for coming, and you were the first one to say, yes, I'm going to come. And I knew that you would know the parking and all the logistics a lot better, so
yeah,
that really means a lot to me. So thank you for that.
Of course. We have to support each other.
Yep.
And I'm super excited for this presentation. This woman's wonderful, and so I can't wait to see how this will go.
Thank you.
Yeah?
So on that, let me minimize, and I put these, welcome everyone. Have a seat. Hopefully in the front over here is good, and we'll get you set up with a password. Really appreciate you guys coming.
I'm sorry we did the
Nope,
wrong
we already addressed that.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim. And we just got through with a community circle of gratitude, which I learned from the Sustainability MBA program. And essentially, before we get started, we just want to create a sense of community and introduce ourselves. And of course, I'm Marta Rivas. I'm in the Sustainability MBA program, and I have been at it for the last 3 years. And I've been working at Eureka High and also taking part-time classes. The whole idea of the community circle is to express gratitude and to express joys and concerns. So basically, you guys can share anything that happened today that you're grateful for, or anything in the news that you actually heard, and you can say your name and introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Tim Oliveira. Something I'm grateful for.
Oh, I got you.
I guess would be some assistance that I've been looking for with regards to my job and with regards to some technical sides of it. I got a really good tip that helped me kind of break through an obstacle that I've been working on over the last week, and it's been giving me a little bit of a headache, so I was able to make some progress on that.
Yay! Anybody else want to jump in?
It's optional.
Yeah, it's optional.
I'm Sydney Munguia, and first I'm grateful for the parking permits that you provided. Thank you.
Yay.
And I'm technically challenged, so I'm happy to be here and participate in the class.
You and me both, but you know what? We got a lot to. Well, I'm very grateful because Julia is one of my best friends here in Humboldt County, and her husband is a very amazing tech person, so he'll hopefully help us out. And then Ms. Sauer, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you immensely. And is there anything else that you guys want to, did everything go smooth for you, Ms. Sauer? I know that you're the one that gave me the idea with the parking.
Yeah, I actually, I didn't print out anything, so, but I found a metered spot right by the library, and I traveled with quarters, so.
Yay!
Meant to be.
Miss Sauer is a very lovely lady I met even before I started working at Eureka. She actually teaches accounting and finance and engineering at the high school, and she also does the training for VITA in accounting. And so another thing that helped us in the sustainability program was just connecting and just introducing ourselves. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that I have a presentation. I kind of outline what we're supposed to do today, but also if you have anything else that you guys kind of wanted to find out about, that would be great. Let me know. But I think I'm going to have to reel it in just because of time. But the main thing that I want to do is understanding, and it's been really great for me, is to understand the value of community learning and community sharing. I know when I met Julia, you know, she knew my children, and I met Ms. Sauer at a community event. And so one of the things that I brought for you guys also is 2 articles that really impacted me. Here we go. Pass those out. And I highlighted, you can have those as read for the future. Here you go, Ms. Sauer. And it talks about no matter what you're doing is your career, that it's important to be able to know how to communicate that information. So, you know, Tim's a technician. Eventually he's going to go talk to his boss, and he's going to have to present this information. So with that, let me switch gears from starting here and pull up my presentation. So my message is that education is a life journey to finding the light, and what I mean by that is positive, finding the love that you have. For me, in my journey to higher education, I have fallen in love with the idea of teaching, and so today is like the message of what is in the community, what is in your heart that you want to do, that you can actually really be thinking about and making it authentic. We did the community gratitude, and the objective for tonight is to understand the tabs. I didn't know, I had shared with Ms. Sauer that I was really foreign to all information that is in yahoo.com and finance, so if you guys have a chance, we'll go into the Yahoo website and how to link it. But the other is create an Excel sheet and know how to import those reports. It had been a little while, and I didn't realize that the actual downloadable financials are in Mergent, and I provided you a link to that as well. On yahoo.com, you can cut and paste the information, but we'll go through it. And the idea is to just kind of take that pressure of like I don't know how to do finance, or it's too boring, because finance is about really connecting either capital for your business, capital for your home, capital for your project at school, and being able to tell a story and connect that discipline to the numbers, and being able to understand what your decision makers want to hear. I used to be a salesperson, and I used to lead with a story, and a lot of times, I had some data because there was information that I had on them, but now it's opened up my mind and included some information on like, what are business owners looking at? If you want to start your own business, what is the balance sheet? What is the income statement? How do you do it? What is the simple answer? Well, the simple answer is that there isn't. And Ms. Sauer mentioned to me another resource that I didn't include is that just like I have the PowerPoint presentation on Google Slides, there's Google Excel sheets, and they're free, basically. I'm not too familiar with that because I've been using the Excel with Megastat, and that's the same but a little bit different. You're familiar with it, right? Yeah. So the other is just to exchange knowledge and experience community in this sort of circle. Any questions that come up, we can just discuss it. So I know Tim and Ms. Sauer are familiar with Excel extensively because she told me that she teaches it. And I was like, oh, wonderful. What about you, Sydney? Are you familiar with it?
I have it on my computer at home, but I've never really used it, I have to admit.
Okay. And what about you, Deja?
No, I'm actually not familiar with it.
Okay. And Julia?
I've referenced it, but I've never created anything on
Okay.
it.
So I'm going to speak to that knowledge base because, to be honest, even now I still have to reference every formula, and I don't use it enough to, be able to, I think it was almost a year ago that I took finance, and today I was like, oh my gosh, where is this, where is that? And some of the things change on yahoo.com. So what I want today to be is for everyone here who hasn't utilized it to understand that it's something that could really be valuable for your personal finances. Like, you know, now I know how to download my data for my banking, you know, and dump it into Excel. And even if it's not really highfalutin, it's something that I'm like, you know, projecting for next month. And that's how I've actually made it through school. And, you know, sometimes you're off, but I learned that even after we did all these analysis for Starbucks, for Walmart, for all these different companies, the biggest thing that's happening now is that nobody really knows marketing. Everything's changing so fast. You know, the biggest opportunity in business right now are the metrics of how to measure all of the data that's out there. So I met Miguel earlier, and he's going to be an economist. And I was actually listening to a podcast or something about how Uber has over, I don't know, like 100 economists working in there. And so, you know, that's one of the things that just excited me about being in business school, because I went to high school, I graduated high school in 1990. So, you know, when I saw Yahoo Finance, I was like, oh my God, this is great. So let's get into it. So go to your desktop and bring up Excel and open up Yahoo Finance, and let me go in there myself. Sorry. Thank you, Tim. And I'm going to simultaneously open up Excel. So the first, at the top, you'll see that it says Hotmail and so forth. And it's, so let's go to finance. And this is just how I learn. If you have a suggestion, Tim?
I'm not familiar with it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put Starbucks just because I love their coffee, unless anybody has a personal vendetta. I know some people do.
How did you get to that Yahoo Finance from the Excel?
It's not from the Excel.
Oh, on Google? Sorry.
Oh, on Google.
So,
Okay. It's
you're
on,
good.
I'll get it, I'll get it.
So just go right here, just put Yahoo
No,
Finance.
yes, I must. There it is. All right.
And then just do this one.
Thanks, Marta.
This is how I was, my dear.
I did get the Excel up though.
Nice, exactly. That's another factoid, that there's more people over 40 going back to school. So,
I believe it.
there's people that are finishing, and this lady is absolutely amazing. Here you go. And then put right here, Starbucks. Perfect.
Thank you.
And so when I saw this at first, and for some of you guys that are not too familiar with it, I was like, I got anxiety, like serious. I was like, what is all this? I was like, okay, I can't navigate. And so this is really cool. Obviously, I don't consider myself very knowledgeable about doing stock analysis, but what you have here is the summary page, and it's giving you all of their data, which is publicly traded. And the value of this is, let's say you want to start a coffee shop, you want to start something that's familiar to this business, then you know all these financials and you can download them. you can go to their statisticals is a really good one. It gives their stocks. It gives their 52-week change. Couple of items that are really important is the EBITDA, which is earnings before income, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. I didn't even know what that was. So those are a lot of times, like some of you guys have been in accounting, accountants kind of battle with each other, and finance folks that, one's not important and so forth. But I find, I took accounting in high school, that if it wasn't for that accounting, I wouldn't really understand like the little bit of finance that I learned, basically, because market cap, their enterprise value, and all these numbers are in, like, there's a B, so it's $94 billion, and their stock closed at $77.90, and the historical data here, this is where, like, somebody that, like Tim, for example, who is, very analytical, he can go in here and pull up all this historical data, figure out whether he wants it daily or monthly, to figure out the change. And that's how a lot of these investors end up finding out, is it good over time to invest on a Starbucks or, whatever companies out there. The download data here, we can do that just for fun. So you can select, let's say, usually to do an analysis, I learned that you have to do at least 5 years of data. And this is where today I was getting a little bit like, whoa. The historical price, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Sauer, monthly, correct? For doing the stock comparison. There's a book by Beninga, it's called Finance, Principles of Finance, and the finance professor recommended it to us. It has a lot of exercises, and these are things that you probably have to look up, because finance and accounting is very rule-based. So let's just take a pause and a show of hands. Were you able to change the time period, Sydney? And, cool. And Deja?
No, I kind of got lost in the
No problem.
I got lost. Yep, and then now go to the. No, it's fine. You're there. So I think that I went to the historical. That's one. Okay. And you see here how basically just my whole, premise in showing you this, guys, is just that you see how much information is on there. And the information that you're looking at is like the first one, for example, the time period. Okay, if you click on that, it gives you the option to do 5 years, or you could even go back. And there's a famous, I believe, economist, financial researcher, Fama Fred, I believe, and he has been tracking EFTs since 1929. So all of that in the age of technology is available to us. So that's basically if you hit the apply. So you would have to hit apply. And once you hit apply, then the system is actually ready. So let me hit apply. Let me change the time period. 5 for 5 years. There we go. And so if you notice, it went to 2014, and for the longest time, I was like, whoa, why did it, change? And then if you change it to daily, hit apply, it'll give you daily numbers. And now you can hit download. once you see that, you know, bubbling up there, you know it's ready. And you can actually select the whole tab, or sheet, sorry. And you can double click on between A and B so that it can spread out your margins. And then you could do Control C for copying it. So this is the blank one that you created. And the idea with Excel, or the most important one that I've recognized, is that it has the ability to create different tabs. So here we can call this Starbucks stock price. And then come back here, and then just, usually this used to freak me out. So I think the first one does all of the values, and this one does all of the formulas, and you just dump it in. And I thought that was just so great, you know what I mean? I had no idea. And the same thing you could do with your bank information. I know that Sydney is doing her own business for her classes, and so it's still, you know, not something that I can do if I'm very anxious and nervous. And I honestly, what I recommend for all of you guys non-financial people is to find a place where you're totally quiet, there's no distractions like the kids and stuff like that. That would help me look at the formulas and double check that I did everything, because inevitably there's like a detail either with a download or a rule that, you know, you're like, oh wait, where's my, you know, what does this mean again? On that note, did I give you guys the sheet that has all of the vocabulary? No, I don't think I did. So let me give you that. So this is just a review of the financial statements, and it's really short. I like it because it just gives you the basics. Oh, you have it.
So Marta, I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So when I'm at home, if I just open my Excel that's on my computer and do what we just did here with my banking records, it will show up in the ledger just like this just did, correct? All that banking information will show up in there.
Pretty much, with a few exceptions. When you go to your banking information, you have to just on the, who do you bank with? Post Central or whoever?
US Bank.
US Bank. Most of them now, they have their, Tim, help me out, their little icon.
Yeah, there usually is a download link. You can either get it in statement form or PDF, or sometimes it gives you it in CSV, which is like this, but it's not going to look exactly the same. Every company does it a little bit different, but you'll get the basics. You'll get a date, you'll get a description of the transaction, you'll get the balances and all that.
I think I've seen the link, but I've just never used it.
What comma separated means is that for each line of data, the data is actually separated by a comma. And that allows you to bring the data into Excel. Excel will automatically read it and assign each data point to its own cell location. If you can also import it into Intuit, to lots of money management software, and it's a common format, that .csv type of file, means comma separated value, and it will automatically receive the data and parse it into the columns for you. So, and that's new. 10 years ago, you had to go through more steps. It could still do it, but you had to do a lot more steps. But since I think Excel 2012, Excel reads a number of different files and automatically opens it for it. You have to tell it not to do it now.
And, you know, I don't want to get too techy, but, you know, it's like, for example, like you start going here and you put average and it starts giving you, I used to get freaked out, like, oh my God, what is that? And so we all know average, right? So like once I calmed down and my hand stopped shaking, I was like, okay. And then Excel gives you, okay, what's your first number that you're gonna start with? And then it lets you go here to this number, and then if you hold it without freaking out your hand, which I used to do a lot, so you know, it moves, and it's like, you go slowly, that's what I had to do, oh my gosh, that's like so many hours, and I'm sure that Tim,
I can show you a trick to make it
yeah, showed me a trick to make it faster. But I'm just honestly, I was getting like, oh, I'm gonna practice, and then, you know, I said, I'm gonna show them how I've struggled through, and I have spent hours, but the thing is that if you practice, I noticed that last 6 months I haven't been practicing because I've been taking education classes, which are a lot more fun, right? It's like, whoa, I'm a little rusty.
You have 800 more to
Yeah.
So
That's a lot.
I think what's the trick? I'm forgetting.
I'll show you. If you click on the very first one and then just scroll up. So actually, if you just kind of delete, if you look in your bar that's right above, yeah, right in there. Just click there and just delete what you have in there already.
And then go to the first one.
And go to the
right?
first one. And I'll delete
Boom.
I'll delete all of that because it's gonna get kind of confused. Okay. Delete all of it up to the parentheses. Keep going, even those ones you want to delete.
Yeah, all the way up to the
Yeah.
parentheses.
And
There you go.
Now go to your very first cell, and you can use the scroll bar on your right to make it faster. Just use that, go up to the very first, and click on the first one.
And those are the close
First
price,
one,
right?
Yeah, I think so. And now
Okay.
scroll all the way down. Just go ahead and on your, just like you just did a second ago on your scroll bar. Far right, all the way down. Now
Oh,
you're gonna
sweet.
now you're gonna hold shift and then click on the last one.
Perfect.
And now you just select it all. Except for you got multiple columns.
But we close it up.
And just hit enter.
And basically, this was the average price for that whole time period. So I know that, you know, for somebody like Tim who's dealing with tech all the time, he probably uses it to program stuff. I mean, this thing can do so much. Dr. Pham, the previous finance professor, he actually helped write the Excel back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like that powerful, and people are still using it. So anyway, so that's the that particular piece, and we'll go back here. Are any of you guys familiar with the term triple bottom line? So the idea of triple bottom line came because currently we're in an environmental crisis, and that's why we have a sustainability MBA, and it's trying to teach all of us to conserve resources. And it's this idea that when you look at your bottom line, traditionally businesses have always just looked at, okay, if you're making profit, then that's all that we care about, right? So if you see your business, you know, your profit margin is 30%, or let's say you bought something at $1 and then you're selling it at $5, you know, you're happy, you're fine. And that's how we've gotten to the point where we're at now, which our waters are polluted, you know, I believe less than 1% of our water is water that we can drink. So since the 1970s, you know, there's been environmental initiatives. Yvonne Chouinard is one of the leading environmentalists, and like the fashion industry is one of the best actual companies out there trying to reduce the impact on the environment. So how does that affect the bottom line? And the triple bottom line is basically profit, planet, and people. And so today, what I wanted to show you is that on yahoo.com, you have all this statistical analysis. And you, Julia, you work in the healthcare industry. It is so important in the healthcare industry. You also work in billing, right? So you see a lot of the how should I put it? The excesses that happen in particular industries, the food industry, the health industry. Every industry has excesses and challenges in regard to the way that we're treating people, the way that we're treating our resources, the way that we are actually conducting business, and even the way that we are creating businesses. So the biggest thing now is, I think I have put here my next slide, which is understanding all of these, features. But for example, if you're working in marketing, how can you actually measure what you're doing if you don't understand, the numbers behind it? So, even if I go work in marketing, maybe I want to learn how to even, in a very archaic kind of way, collect all the information, slowly but surely be able to understand, okay, this is how much money we're making, this is where it's being sourced, and looking at the impact not only of measuring the profit, but what kind of impact is it having on people? For example, even Amazon right now, they're one of the biggest companies. They're making a lot of money, but they've been criticized heavily because people are working like robots and they are not providing a healthy work environment for the people to be there. So companies have been for years what they call greenwashing, which is doing marketing and saying, oh, we're doing these small things to protect the environment, we're involved in charities, we're involved in this. But now the cost environmentally and economically is so great, and people are boycotting certain brands. We've seen Nike get sued many times. We saw Volkswagen with their deceit, and on and on. Every day you can turn on the news and you're like, there's another scandal, right? So the idea is that we become more educated, teachers, more educated, concerned citizens, more concerned billing agents at our place of work, and also start looking at the human impact of that and measuring it. And that's actually an opportunity in business and sustainable businesses. There isn't much data on the people side, because it's easy to quantify like how much money you're making and using these Excel sheets and so forth, but to be able to connect this to the profit here, it starts, how do you give that presentation to your boss? We have 15 people that are always calling in sick, it's costing us this. What could we do at work to incentivize a wellness program? And so that's kind of like the idea behind looking at some of these resources, financials, and even here, if you look, I think a year ago, some of you guys, I don't know, is anyone familiar or goes to Yahoo often? I don't think we have this, a sustainability index, and it gives you some, it's not as robust as what you would want, but it at least is saying that they're doing their environmental, their social, and their governance. Like, how are they governance? Did you have a question, Tim, or a comment? So this is really important, I think, for us to learn as we're going about our day-to-day jobs. And I actually lost my place. Oh, this is another one, and I don't know if you're a member of the library, if you can have access to it. It's called Merchant, and it's the one that we can actually download the financial reports, and you can put the stated, it's actually on your handout. You can actually pull out the balance sheet and the financial sheets, and it gives you information about the company. And since you guys are on the HSU computer, if you guys want to go check it out, we can do that. Sound I'm just gonna do, I thought I had put a link on there, but I guess I didn't. Just go to library. And then you can go to the articles and databases. With a show of hands, who's there? Okay, we'll just wait just a little bit. So, can I go in there now? I'll get some water. Does anybody need water or something to drink? There's water in the back. Alright, so should we roll? This was another like big deal for me. I don't think I had ever really done good research ever. I mean, I graduated before they had computers on campus in 1994. And then, you know, I don't really understand research. You know, I would read stuff in the news, and then, I mean, that was it, you know, for like the 20 years that I was out of college. That's pretty much, you know, I knew how to quote some MLA stuff, and then I would kind of forget, like, what, you know, stuff you learned in high school, and you're like, what? I'm not sure. So the library has become my second home, and they have amazing workshops. They have workshops on how to cite. They have, and you know what? Those workshops are just as good, if not better, sometimes for quick skills. So this, and also Tim Miller, the librarian, taught us how to use the articles and databases, and I think this was like wow, all of the majors are listed here: accounting and religious studies. I don't know what meditation would fall under, but I'm certain, Sydney, that you could probably find a plethora of information. So if anything, I would encourage you to use this resources, community members, you know, have your library. And then this was awesome. I went to the business section. Am I good? Yeah? Okay, and then we go to Mergent Online. And then here, does anyone have a favorite company they want me to pull up? That is public. That's the only caveat, that it has to be public. Publicly traded company. And sometimes, you know, for some of us that are not really following the business news all the time, it's kind of hard, but what I like is, this was like my aha moment, because way back in the day, and Ms. Sauer might remember, when I started in sales, there was this thing called Hoovers. Do you remember Hoovers?
It's been a while.
You're like, I don't even know.
I don't think Hoover's exists anymore.
Exactly. In our memory it does. But when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So if you look, it has advanced search, it has Dun & Bradstreet, which companies used to pay, educate me, I'm forgetting, but thousands of dollars for these memberships of like, Tim, did you have a comment?
No.
Just pay thousands of dollars like to do market research and get the information. It was like a big deal. And then you have like government filings. This is important because if you wanted to download, if somebody asked you, hey, I want you to pull the Securities and Exchange Commission's report for Walmart, you're like, where do I get it? I'm like, fortunately, you probably pull up on Google, I'm sure, but like the average person, I consider myself the average person, I didn't really know how. So when Dr. Pham and Dr. Akari showed me this, I was like, this is really cool. You can pull the, put your name of your company, and let me show you this right here. We're gonna put Nike. And all of a sudden, like even in business as a salesperson, I was always asked to focus on industries. So like I was, to follow, like find out about an SIC code, which stands for Standard Industry Code or something like that, Ms. Sauer, SIC code.
Mm-hmm. Standard Industry Code.
Yeah, Standard Industry Code. And really what that does is, as an entrepreneur, as a salesperson, or just somebody that's trying to put together information on a particular category, you can start focusing in on this category, which would be the apparel and sports, and they're the leaders, right? So if you wanted to compete in this space, wouldn't it be good to be able to get all their information? So this is, you can find out like a short summary. If your boss tells you, hey, I want to put something together for XYZ company, and maybe it's a small company, and you can go and look at, then comes the communication piece.